Hi everyone, my name's Kalina. Welcome to Eye of the East Coast. I'm really excited today. Today's my BFF, Chuck Gotski. Welcome, Chuck. How you doing?
Well, I'm fine, and how are you, Miss Smith?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited you're on. I'm really excited.
Are you excited I'm on? I'm
excited.
excited I'm on, too.
I'm excited.
This is cool because normally I'm not on this end of the spectrum. Usually I'm the one doing the question and answer with the, putting the light on people and talking. So this will be kind of nice. You can kind of just ask me questions, and I will just babble away.
Are you scared? Because it's going to be gangster.
I'm not scared, man.
Okay.
I'm a tough gangster. You saw my guns.
I saw your guns. You saw mine. You saw mine. I'm pretty.
I know. Well, that kind of scares me a little.
Okay, good. That's what's going for.
That's what's going. I hear you, sister.
For our listeners, tell them a little bit about your work with the paranormal.
Okay, all right. Basically, I started in the paranormal about 20 years ago. I had some personal experiences which drew me into it because I had always been told by most people, you pass away and you just fade to black or you go to heaven or wherever it is they say you go. But I personally have my own thoughts on the subject. I never quite conform. I'm not a conformist, I'm kind of like out there on my own. I'm what we call out of the box kind of dude. So, kind of started looking into myself. Like I said, had my own personal experiences. It kind of answered some of my questions a little bit. Then moved into it and been doing it, like I said, for 20 years, like starting off with, the paper and the pen and the camera and, now to where we are now, where you have like an array of tools and stuff, which some work, some don't. I go to larger venues sometimes where it's just to gather the evidence to see if we can get some answers to the paranormal. And sometimes I go like I did last night to help people that are in their homes that maybe they're a little bit nervous about what's happening in their house. They're not quite sure. We go and educate and kind of look into it for them and try to put their minds at ease a little bit. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I love that when you do investigation, it's to help them. It's not to freak them out or anything. It's to help them. For our listeners, Can you tell them for an example, give them an example of how, when you go in, how can it help them?
Sure. Well, mostly, a lot of times what you'll find is that a lot of the things that are happening in someone's home are not paranormal. Paranormal is a very slim window of what's really happening. A lot of things can be explained otherwise. So, like, for instance, we went to this home last night. They felt that their 2-year-old was waking up every night, screaming and crying. They were hearing things in their home. They weren't really sure what was going on. So what we did is we came in. I tried to explain to them that what we do is we look into everything that they have as far as what's going on. I work with a psychic named Nancy. She comes in also, and she does her end of the deal. I do my end of the deal. I try to put everything together like a little puzzle then. But in the meantime, I'm always trying to explain to them that what usually happens in a home or actually happens in the paranormal, it's not like you see on TV where it's all evil and malevolent and scary. It's usually a lot of really mundane things. If it is paranormal, it could be simple as, hey, we're here. We just want you to know we're here. We're just kind of, hanging out with you. We're family or we're friends. Or it could just be a spirit that just seems to be curious and wants to know what's going on and wants to be part of things, because I really believe that as a human being, when we pass away, we're still a being, and we still like that human aspect to it that we used to have when we were here. So like when you're like having a conversation, if two live people are having a conversation, and which I find a lot will happen when you're not investigating per se, spirits will come up to you and want to just be like part of it. And if you have a good positive attitude, and like me, I like to joke around a lot and stuff like that and show a lot of respect, they will interact with you like crazy. So we go in and try to help the families by putting them at ease for one, so it's usually not evil, and that we'll get some answers for them as far as at least try to get some answers one way or the other. Maybe get some suggestions on how they can feel more in control of their home, and it usually works out pretty good most of the time.
And you work with what's called a spirit box. Can you explain to listeners what that is?
Sure. There's several different kinds of spirit boxes. They used to call them the shack hack in the old days. Basically, it was just a radio that they clipped the tuner, so the tuner would just go run up and down the channels, back and forth. And the theory behind it, and I use my air quotes that you can't see. The theory is that a spirit can manipulate the frequencies within that radio to speak to you live in some sort of a voice, whether it's their real voice, probably not, but something that you can understand coherently, because the idea and the theory that I believe is that all spirits speak on a different frequency than we do. Like, for instance, we hear, because there's vibration in the air when we speak, it's actually just vibration, which then your ear hears and puts it into coherent sound. I believe that spirits put off energy, which puts off frequencies, which then can manipulate to make it sound like a voice. Sometimes you don't hear it audibly with your ears because it's on a lower frequency. That's where the SB7 or / spirit box comes in, where they can use that to kind of hit the frequencies that we can hear with our ears and then be able to talk to us. Now, the SB7 is the newest invention. It's sort of like a tuner and a radio, but like the one I have, there's an AM and FM. The AM has been detuned, so that really what we can also do is we can control the how it sweeps at 1/8 of a second. I sweep it in reverse. So the chances of you getting a full word or syllables out of there off a radio station would probably be pretty slim to none. So when you start getting a full voice coming through, it's usually them manipulating it to try to speak to you.
For listeners, if they're looking to invest into a spirit box, what would you advise them?
Well, I mean, I would advise them to use what they call a PSB7. It's what I use. It's what a lot of investigators use. But you have to remember that when you're using it, it's only as good as the person using it, and you can't take everything verbatim, and it has to fit intelligently to the investigation you're doing. It has to fit to the information you're given, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes through that just is nothing, or it could be frequencies from, because we have frequencies from everything from satellite TVs to, so there's a lot of stuff flying around the air. So you have to be very diligent not to jump to conclusions. You have to be very diligent to listen to what's going on. And if you get intelligent responses back, and over and over more than one time, and maybe the voices sound the same over and over more than one time, it can actually probably lead to maybe something is actually happening. So otherwise you have to be careful with it. But that's what I would suggest. And
do you use any other tools like the Ouija board, dowsing rods, or anything like that?
I don't personally use, I have a Ouija board. I just have never used it. Mm-hmm. The SB7 is pretty much just a modern version of a Ouija board, because the funny thing about Ouija boards is, and that's just a patent name for it because it's just a talking board, really, it's not a Ouija, is that you can use it to where you can use a glass and put letters on the table, or that's how they used to do it in days gone by. People have this stigma to a Ouija board that it's evil because of TV and movies and stuff like that, which it's really not. It's just another way of communicating to the other side, just as well as we use an SB7 or just a recorder or a camera or whatever, So, but I don't use a Ouija board per se. I like to use the more electronic equipment. I am looking into dowsing rods, though, because I'm finding that interesting. So I'm probably going to pick some up and try to do some experimentation with that, because I'm a very experimental kind of guy. I like to try all sorts of different things. So I'm going to get some of those and test as well, but I don't use them right now on my investigations.
And what's your opinion of having a psychic on the investigation?
I think it's an awesome idea. When I first started, I didn't use psychics, not because I didn't believe in them, just because I wanted to gather my data the way I wanted to gather my data. Mm-hmm. I felt that maybe it would impair my investigations. Though I found out I was wrong, because, I went ahead and tested it out, and then a lovely lady by the name of Nancy Laporta, who's a trans medium, and she is really, really good at what she does. At first, I was just wanted because basically what we do is I'm a data gathering observer. How's that? And I'm not scientific, because the only way it can be scientific, though, science, observing people who observe are doing science. It's not scientific if you can't control the environment from one end. So I look at it as though I'm observing, I gather data, and I try to communicate and interact. Now, bringing a psychic in is an excellent addition to the team or to an investigation. Nancy always says, they're another tool. I don't really like to call people who are psychic like yourself a tool, because I think it's right. You're human beings, But I think that as investigators, as human beings, best tool, I guess, if you want to say it, then would be my body. That's the most important thing out of my whole arsenal is how I feel first, and how my investigators feel. Then we take everything else. So then if you add a psychic into it who is very heightened in what they do versus someone like me, it just adds to help put the pieces of the puzzle together, because she can talk to them from the other side. Then I can concur by saying, okay, well, she said, I heard him say Danny, and then I get an EVP that says Danny. She finds it just as goosebumpy, chilly as I do when she's talking to him, because it's confirmation for her. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, in turn, she's confirming me and what she's giving me. So I think it's a very important part, and it helps. I think both parts are just as important, because, like I said, the vast array of things you have to go through in an investigation, there's a lot of pieces to put together. So,
and I want to take a second to talk about your radio show and your web series. So we'll start with your radio show.
Okay. Well, I have 2 radio shows. We'll talk about, I'm assuming you're talking about the paranormal one. Mm-hmm. That is In the Dark Radio. I started that a while back. Actually, I was helping Paranormal Underground Radio, which is the big guys, I call them, because they've been on air for 4 years or more. They were on another station, and I actually came on as a guest. Then I asked one of the hosts, Rick Hale, if he would like to come on an investigation, because he hadn't been one in a while. He came on, we became friends. And then after a while, I was like, gee, this is kind of fun. I'd like to try my hat at this, So I joined the ranks, and I went to them and said, who Cheryl Knight is my producer and also my boss for my publishing, for my writing, and said, I'll do it, but I want you to do the boards and all that kind of stuff so I could just be free and talk. And I trust her. So she said yes. And been doing it ever since. It's been really fun. I've had a lot of guests from television to non-television to authors to whatever, and made a lot of good friends and network and stuff. So it's turned out really well.
It's a really good show to our listeners. If you guys get a chance to hear it. In Nova Scotia, it starts at 11:30 p.m. And what's the website, Chuck?
The website is www.heyzradio.com. And you can just click on top on the chat at the time that my show's on, and it'll take you to the chat room. You can either chat, but you don't have to. You can just sit there and listen to it. So.
And you have another radio show.
Yes, I do have another radio show, but really quick, just so in case they want to catch old shows of my In the Dark Radio, they can go to www.podbean.com, or they can go to iTunes, and you'll be able to catch those as well, too. So, that's another aspect of finding out some of the old shows to listen to. And then your next question, I'm sorry, was?
Your other radio show.
My other radio show. Oh, you mean Boombox America? As she smiles. Yes, it's where I'm allowed to not do anything paranormal. I could just kind of talk on the radio and be entirely wacky, and play music, and it's a lot of fun because it's more of a pre-record where the other one's live. So this gives me a chance to, if I make a boo-boo, I can go back and kind of fix it, which is kind of cool. But I still have fun the same. And it seems to be going okay so far. I've only done I think 4 shows, but it's turned out okay so far.
It's really good. The listeners get a chance to listen to it. It's really good. And for our listeners, where would they go about to find that, to listen?
I think for the Boombox America, I just go to www. There we go. We'll try it again. I go to www.eghradio.com, and I think you can click on the live. I think it is, but it still plays my show at that time. And I think it's in the States here at my time, it's 2:30 p.m. Central. I'm not really sure what time it is UK and stuff.
Nova Scotia time, it's 4:30 p.m. and in UK, okay. I think it's 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, I think it's 8:30. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because you're a filmmaker too, so I want to talk about that. So let's talk about your web series that's coming out. If you want to talk to the listeners about that.
Okay. I started a web series, which I'm hoping is going to go forward farther. It takes a lot of work, and with all the other stuff, it's kind of getting a little crazy. But it's called Eerie Events. I brought in Rick Hale as the host. He's from Paranormal Underground Radio. He also is an author of a really great book called Geek's Guide to the Strange and Unusual. But you can see actually episode 1 right now. You can either go to our website at www.eerieevents.org, or you can go to YouTube because there's an Eerie Events channel, and you can click on there and see that. Also, just as well, I work with a guy who does what they call ghost tapes, which is pretty prominent on YouTube. I've been in a couple of the 2 main movies he's had. I think the second one, there's some bits and pieces from us in the Dark Investigations, but they just started the series Ghost Tapes, and we were the pilot group for the series, which we shot at the Egyptian Theater. So, and that's out right now too.
Oh, I'll have to look for that. I didn't know that. I'll have to look for that. So where would I go find that if I want to?
I see writing down now. Yes, you can go to. You can just go on YouTube and just punch up Ghost Tapes and look for episode 1, and then it'll say the Egyptian Theater, and that's pretty much us at the Egyptian Theater. It was with Luke Millett, who's an awesome filmmaker and a very good friend of mine. And I've gone on investigations with him too. He decided to bring us in for the pilot, so it turned out really nice. It turned out really good. He did a nice hats off to my friend Al, who was our case manager and passed away about 4 months ago. So he did a nice little nod off to him too on top of it.
I'm going to check that out after with that. And was there any is there any cases that you'd want to share to the listeners about any funny cases that you've had with spirit or ghosts?
Yes, every case I have is a funny case when it comes to me, because for some reason spirits think that I'm funny and want to mess with me. So, and if you talk to anyone that's ever worked with me, usually how this will go. Like we did, if you go to Amazon.com, you can look for Haunted Willow Creek Farm, the documentary, which is a documentary that's out, and you can rent it. It's for rent and for download, and you can buy it on DVD. When we went to Willow Creek Farm, which is one of the 10 top haunted farms in Illinois. So when we went there, what seems to happen, and this started there, is that I would ask for, like, say, the K2 to light up, which is a meter that reads EMF, and we use it to communicate, or whatever. They will light it up when I turn my face. And then when I turn back, they stop. And then when I said, I'm going to turn around and look the other way, go ahead and lighten up. And sure enough, as soon as I turn around, I hear everybody laughing because it's going up. And I look back, and it's not. So after a while, I can kind of catch and spin around and do it. And it actually happened at an investigation we just did out here in Illinois and South Barrington, too. But, yeah, it's pretty funny. They like to do it with me. And I also like to, I have my wonderful sarcastic sense of humor all the time, so I throw it out right at the spirits because they figure, hey, they could take it. So of course they do, and they give it back. We've been at one home where I was teasing the mother-in-law and the grandma that had deceased and they were coming back, and I think the lady even said the word shit at me or something. But they were saying all sorts of stuff to me back and forth. It was pretty funny. I've gotten where I joked around at the last investigation where I just talked about again. We were in the basement, and it was like, the spirits were coming from, and right there was like 5, 6, 7, 8 voices, and they all came in to want to say my name or just kind of work with me and have a good time, and I would joke and they would go back. So yeah, it always seems to be pretty funny when I go investigate.
And for our listeners, if we have a list, if anyone out there wants to get into paranormal investigation, what would you advise them to start?
I would advise them to start by actually don't follow anything that's on television, because television is entertainment and it's awesome, and I enjoy every show, but it's not the reality of things. If you don't have a passion for wanting to find out whatever it is, whether it's answers to the other side or wanting to communicate or wanting to help someone, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. But if you have that passion and you want to do it, then I would say start really slow. Don't go out and buy all tons of equipment. Get yourself a notebook, a pencil, maybe a recorder, and a camera, whether it's a still camera, and maybe if you want an IR camera, just one. Start really small. Be very diligent on what you do. Do not jump to conclusions. Stand back and take a look at all your information after you get it to really see. And if it doesn't fit or it doesn't feel right, then pretty much it isn't. So then throw it out, because there's the amount of people that you'll find is probably 1% out of 90, like 100%. So you have to be very picky about what you do, especially if you want to be respected in the field and want people to trust you in the field. You can only put out what you really, really, really feel you can explain to give to them, and then never make an assumption of anything. I always say, well, this is what I found, this is my opinion, but you can take it for what it's worth, because that's all I do. I never make an assumption or a definite, because you can't do that. It's just impossible.
And for the listeners too, you write for Paranormal Magazine, if you want to let them know about that. Because I know we're going fast.
Sure. Paranormal Magazine. I write for Paranormal Underground Magazine. It's like one of the largest magazines that are out there. You can get it on Apple and Kindle and all that too, because it's actually an interactive magazine as well as a digital one. So when you go to, you'll see like little videos, and we talk about, say stuff to you as you're clicking through it all. Go to www.paranormalunderground.net. On there in a digital form, or you can, like I get them in print form, and I've been contributing writer for them for a long time, and have done really well with them.
And for our listeners, if they want to get a hold of you, what's your information for Facebook and Twitter and website?
Okay, you can go to In the Dark Investigations on Facebook. You can find me at Twitter at Chuck Gotski, because I forgot last time when I was talking about Twitter. And then also you can go to, if you want to send me anything in an email, you can. It's www.inthedarkinvestigations.com. I'm always willing to look at other people's information and see maybe if I can help them out, possibly, that way also.
And I really recommend to listeners check out Chuck. His both shows are awesome. But if you're into the paranormal, because I know a lot of our listeners are, check out his work. It's really, really good. It's really well done. I know the one that went really fast. The 20 minutes went like that. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, BFF.
You're welcome. I'm gonna stop this. Okay, everyone. Before we get into the scopes for August 10th to August 16th, 2014, just some information. The first one is Eye of the East Coast is on EGH Radio. The website is www.eghradio.com. EGH Radio is on Facebook and on Twitter, just at EGH Radio. Other shows on EGH Radio is Anne's Rock Show on Mondays at 3 p.m. Atlantic Time, and Steven's Unsigned Madness Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Atlantic Time, and Chuck Gotski at 4:30 Wednesday with Boombox America. And you just go to www.eghradio.com and you click on the live tab, and that will take you to it. For information on Tracy and myself, please find us on Facebook under Eye of the East Coast, or Tracy's page, Reiki with a Twist, or mine, Kalina Psychic Readings. And we're also on Twitter, same, Eye of the East Coast, Reiki with a Twist, or Kalina. Okay, so we're going to get into the scopes for the week, and we're going to start with Aries. The first thing that they're focusing on, Aries, is this week before you is going to be a time of reflection. It's a time to be still and just gather information. They're also making me feel it would be a good idea to do some meditation or just kind of look in what do you want from Spirit. Taurus, they're making me feel this is a good time to write out your feelings, or also she's showing that cleaning, like literally cleaning the house or clearing out your old drawers, anything like that, because you're removing a lot of energy that should not be there. Gemini, they're focusing on communication. They're making me feel that communication is going to be very important the next week. Speak exactly what you mean, and don't hold back. If you feel like you need to be a little bit more blunt than normal, just trust it. Cancers. Okay, Cancers are making me feel this is a week to really acknowledge your strength. There's an energy here that they want you to see how strong and wise you are, and don't second guess yourself, especially around Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be a little bit, don't second guess yourself. Leos, they're making me feel this is a week to focus again on communication, similar to Gemini, but they're focusing on written communication. So before you send an email or doing a letter, just double check it. They're also making me feel be aware of someone's telling you information, but I don't feel like it's the whole story. So just a heads up on that. So if you feel like something's not right, just trust it, or ask them, like, do you know for sure, or are you assuming? Virgos, they're focusing on Phoenix. Phoenix is really strong with you. So there's something here where you're ready for a positive change. And this is a change that's been coming for a while. And they're showing here that this is a good time to take action and to walk your talk. Libras, this is a week to shine. They're making me feel that your energy is becoming much more stronger. And they're also showing an energy here where there's going to be a lot of happy news coming your way, but she's saying follow your intuition. Scorpios, they're focusing on being still. This is a week to plan, and also to communication. That's a big one for this week. They're bringing up communication again. Be very clear where your intentions are with business or friendship or anything. Like, just be very clear, and also to speak from your intuition. Sagittarius, they're focusing on, this is a week to reflect and to focus on what you want for you. This may not be a good week to be around crowds. It's just they're making me feel you need your space. Capricorns, they're focusing on ancestors. They're making me feel that ancestors are going to be very strong. It maybe look into your family tree or into the family history. There's something that those energies are going to be a bit louder. Usually they'll show a dream, like you may have dreamed of a grandparent or a great-grandparent.
Aquarius, this is a very romantic week for you. They're making me feel that there's a lot of, it's just a fun week, and this is a week to celebrate and to recognize how far you've come along and just, honestly, just have fun. Pisces, okay, Pisces are focusing on celebration for you. There's good news coming your way, and it's something that you've been working on for a while. They're also focusing on an energy here where something you weren't sure if it was going to be how do I word that? If you weren't sure if it was the right energy for you, it's going to prove to be better than what you first thought. So that looks really good. And that's all we have for Eye of the East Coast for this week, and we hope that you'll join next week. All right, thank you, everyone. Take care.